Oh man, well, Broncos country, we figured at some point it was probably inevitable that we were going to have a post game where the Broncos come up on the short end of the stick as the Broncos' 11-game win streak has come to an end by the Jacksonville Jaguars at home, 34-20. I'm joined by my buddy Jeremy. Thank you, brother, for joining me as always. I was so
Of course.
mad to miss last week's game
I know.
because it was so good. It would have been such a great post game.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I'm back now, but we have to talk about a loss. But your initial thoughts, man, on this frustrating game, to say the least.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just going to say what I feel. And that was, I don't understand why we always have to play a team and the refs. Like every single time we had the chance to take the momentum in that game, there was some crucial call, roughing the passer, PI, something that just kept them going, kept them into it. And then we'd make a mistake. We would like hit our hands. I don't know what was with the receivers today, dropping stuff. Just felt like we can't keep living like this where it's just like, oh, we'll come back in the end. We'll come back in the end. We'll come back in the end. And it's like, it's not going to happen every single time. And when we have a chance to take over, the refs don't let us. It's like, I'm just over it. I'm over it. I don't understand in this day and age when you have like so much stuff, so much money on the line, so much, you're in bed with all these betting sites and all this stuff. It comes down every single time to some officiating. And the fact that we've overcome that the last 11 games to be where we are is a freaking miracle, honestly. Because usually everything comes down to one or two plays. And that doesn't excuse our bad tackling and just not having it in certain like couldn't catch the ball, couldn't tackle in crucial spots either. But it's like there's no room for error. There's none.
Yeah.
So that's what's frustrating me.
No, it makes it frustrating, man. And to be honest with you, like I definitely. I mean, I'm not willing to say that, okay, the refs are the reason we lost today. I think there's a lot of different reasons, but you make a good point in a sense of like, it's a weekly thing. It's the most annoying thing every single week. Like, yeah, there's areas where we can be a little bit cleaner, but my goodness, like the amount of no calls, the amount of holding calls that go, unnoticed, like everything, it gets pretty frustrating. But I think this one was the defense's worst game of the year. No doubt about it. The tackling was bad. And it was weird from them because they've had those moments where they've been leaky. They were bad in the red zone. And they were letting a lot of just explosive plays. And that's been a big thing that we haven't done is we've really made teams earn it. And we just kind of made it a little bit easier on them today. So it was frustrating. And it ends in the most frustrating way either, right? Just like Vic Chin says right here, like, Pat Bryant getting hurt on just an unbelievably unnecessary play, unnecessary hit. Everything about that was frustrating. Like the backup should have all been in. Just kneel the ball and go home. Take your medicine. I get that you're trying to set a precedent of like we never quit, blah blah blah. But at this point of the year, with what you've accomplished and where we're sitting, it's all frustration. But man, I think there was a lot. Like I give kudos to the Jags, man. I thought the Jags played awesome today too. Like I think that they're a really good team. They're a hot football team. I kind of said going into this game, like I felt like it was extremely similar to how the Packers are. Like they're a very similar team, the way that they run, but I felt like they were better than the Packers. And the difference in the Packers game was we were really good on third downs and we were really good in the red zone. We knew it was going to come down to that. We ended up getting the win as a result. And this week we end up being terrible on third downs, terrible in the red zone, and it results in a 14-point loss. So, yeah, I mean it's frustrating. I guess I want to get your thoughts overall on the Broncos defense. We'll start there, and then maybe we'll go to the offense afterwards. Obviously,
I mean, I just feel like the dam finally broke because it was like when we would get stops, it would be roughing the passer. And they're like, what? I'm literally tackling the guy as he's throwing it. How the hell am I supposed to like mid-air change where I'm going to land? It's insane. And then the PI leads to a touchdown where it gifts it to him on the one. And I feel like they kind of just like their spirit was finally like, no matter what we do, I don't know. Like, we didn't get any turnovers, and it was just that's what it felt like. And then you don't make tackles. They played off a little bit, and that's it. That's all she wrote. Like, you just got burned. And
Yeah.
the defense, it feels like up until last week, up until there was a turning point in that game that was just like, I don't turn that one around. But it felt like since the bye, this defense has not been the same, and I don't know why. And now Brandon Jones and PJ, like, you saw the difference today,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like,
They did.
you saw
They
it.
did. Yeah, I thought PJ really struggled for sure. Even though that touchdown that he gave up was the clearest OPI ever, but yeah, he just didn't look as confident as good back there. Felt like we were super good against the run. Like I was shocked that it was the secondary that was getting beat a lot. But here's in my opinion, shout out to my guy Kodiak, man. But I think the first like overreaction, right? You talk about overreactions to this game, and surprisingly, the chat's been pretty decent. But like VJ currently coaching himself out of a head coaching gig. I don't know, man. Like I don't look at this game and say, "Oh, VJ did anything wrong." Like I felt like, he was blitzing at the opportune times. It was like we've always been all year. We've been a really good tackling team. That's why our defense has been so good, because like we don't let a lot of leaky yards by. Today was just different. Guys were slipping. Guys were missing tackles. Guys were not staying in their lanes. So I wouldn't necessarily say that this one was on VJ per se, but it was it is weird. Like after the bye week, this defense has been very bad, and I think teams have just kind of eventually realized, okay, these are the ways in which we have an opportunity to win against Denver. The big thing, the biggest Achilles heel we've had all year is we have an inability to turn the ball over. Like we get so many sacks, we're sticky in coverage, we're good against the run, obviously for the most part. For some reason, man, we just can't. We can't force turnovers. I think eventually that's really gonna bite you, because in a game like today where the defense was just not having a good day, like a turnover would have been massive, like just like it was last week when PS2 made that. But I look at that like it was an unbelievable play by PS2. It was also a horrendously stupid decision by Jordan Love and that team to go for it. So it's like you got to go out there and kind of force them sometimes, and I feel like we lack with doing that. But you had talked about PJ Locke. I mean, where do we go from here from the safety position? Do we kind of just keep riding the ship and hope that he, plays better, or what would you do?
I don't know what other choice you have at this point. Like, I know people want Simmons, but it's probably not gonna happen. And it's for the reason he's not on the team. It's because they wanted a different voice in the locker room, and they needed different chemistry, and they were correct. Honestly, like, I love Justin Simmons, but that needed to happen. And you got to just tell the team, like, nobody's coming to save us. Like, I mean, it's a ridiculous statement. We won 11 freaking games in a row and we lost one. Like, all right, like just let the dust settle a little bit on it. Like, have a little perspective. We're still the number. Like, we lost today and we're still the number 1 seed right now. So like, it's fine. It's just like, this was the game that we kind of all felt like we needed, but we didn't want to see. It's never going to be fun. But it's like, if you don't pay attention, if you don't come to play, and like today's the take your medicine day, and you learned if you're not on your stuff, you will lose at home to a good team. And they're only going to be good football teams in the playoffs. So like, that's the way it's going to be. So here's the silver lining I have to say about this whole game. Please, Pat Bryant, be okay. That being said, we needed to freaking lose for just the streak purposes anyways. From, if you ask Aqib Talib and Benny Fowler and all these people who have been there before and gone on streaks, you don't want to go into the playoffs with a streak. Okay, that's accomplished, whatever. Some people disagree. They want to win out, whatever. I get it. We always want to win, but like, that is something. 2, you got the thumping you needed to like reality check you to like,
I agree.
It's not just going to come easy.
No.
Okay.
No, of course not. It's never going to come easy.
So
it's never going to come. And for too long, I mean, the last couple of weeks, it wasn't necessarily like that, but for too long the Broncos were like living on the edge,
Yeah.
and they were just not putting opponents away, and they were still having stupid penalties, pre-snap stuff, shoot yourself in the foot type of moments. And I always say, like, you can win a game and still learn things from it, but you really buckle down and hone in and focus when you actually lose, and when you get straight beat up like that, at home in front of your fans, albeit against a really good team, but still. So, I mean, I think that there's a lot of silver lining things to take from this, in my opinion. I mean, I feel like, firstly, I thought RJ Harvey looked phenomenal.
Yes.
Thought he looked great.
Yep.
I thought he was balling today. Run game overall looked good. It was good to get Ben Powers, like, his feet wet under him. I thought he struggled a lot at times, but I felt like it was good to get him back and his feet wet under him, which is again a good thing. But man, it's again, just like you said, like, this team has shown that they're able to buckle down, really refocus, and play really well after a loss. And even though it's frustrating, like we talked right before we had press live, I said the really annoying thing, obviously aside the Pat Bryant thing, like you had mentioned about this game, the really frustrating thing for me was, I really love the idea of, like, making the next two games not that important, right? Or like maybe a week 18, you can kind of take the time off, and gives you a much cleaner path to the number 1 seed with a win, especially against the Jaguars. You would have basically put them out of contention for the number 1 seed, and you'd have been good to go, and just have to worry about the Chargers, who play the Texans, and then you have control over playing them. But now it's like, no, man, this team's got to buckle down and win both of these games. And there's a really good chance that the Week 18 game can not only be for the division, but can be for the number 1 seed, which is crazy to think about.
Yep.
And that is obviously worrisome, but it's really good for a team that, you're playing playoff games essentially before the playoff starts, right? And I think it really buckles you down and kind of locks you in a little bit before the actual playoff starts. So listen, the NFL is tough, man. Like, it's a hard league. It's crazy to think that, like, we just won 11 straight games, and because of one win, now all of a sudden we could either be the 1 seed or the 5 seed. Like, that's basically how the NFL works. It's a crazy thing.
Look at the Packers. Look at the Packers the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago,
dude, you look at it like crazy. Like, like they're showing it right now on the pregame for the Sunday night game. Entering today, the Broncos had a 78% chance of winning the number 1 seed, and now they have a 49% chance.
I mean, I'll still take it, but this percentages mean nothing. We know we have to win. You have to win the game.
No,
you have to win football games.
I 100% agree with you, but, like, it just shows the volatility, like how every game matters. And I think really that's what makes the NFL so great, is because the NFL is every game is so important. Whereas with other sports, baseball, you have 162 games. Who gives a shit if you lose? NBA, same kind of thing. Like, every 5 NBA or NHL games equals 1 game in the NFL, and it makes it so that things can be a lot more volatile, and that's exactly where it is now. So offensively, on the offense, how would you grade? Were there some standout guys? Were there some guys that you felt like really struggled? How would you assess the offense overall?
Bo Nix was up and down. RJ Harvey was awesome. The wide receivers' hands were horrible. That's how I assess it. Real quick, I would like the last two. The other silver lining is if we play the Jaguars in the playoffs. I would rather lose to them in the regular season than try to beat them twice. Personally,
100%. And if that game is at home for us, like I feel confident that we're not going to lose to that team 2 times. And there is some things that go into that, man. Like, you see it all the time. Division opponents will go into the playoffs. Like, one of them lost to them in both of the regular season games. They end up beating them the 3rd time. Like, you get you get a good understanding of an opponent when you lose to them. So I'm right there with you, 100%.
And 100%. You want to come into a game like that remembering what happened the last time you saw him, not just like, you don't want to like lose like barely. You want to get thumped. Like, I'll go back to the 98 season we should have like probably won the Super Bowl or like went undefeated that year. It was like week 13. This was a 16 game season or game 13. We go to the Giants and lose this really weird, ominous, weird ass game that nobody felt like we should have lost. The next week, we play Miami and they thump us because it was kind of like this, like, oh, we finally can like let go of all this pressure of going undefeated. And then who do we see for the first round in the playoffs? Miami. And it was like, we wanted to freaking kill Miami. And if we see Jacksonville again, we're going to want to freaking kill Jacksonville. That's just the way it's going to be. You got embarrassed. And those like Kodiak saying right here, I'm concerned about the horrible tackling. I don't think you should have a problem this next game if you play Jacksonville and maybe even play anybody. Like, there's tons of teach tape today on where you guys went wrong. It's going to the football. It's swarming. It's hitting. It's trying to strip something because you didn't do that at all. Like, there's tons of that stuff. So, like, it's weird, but it's like, it's good to get your ass kicked before the playoffs, because if you think like it humbles you down to like the basics of like, okay, you think you're all that, you think it's just going to come easy. It isn't. And I'm sorry, but like Trevor Lawrence took way more punishment than Bo did today. And somewhere in his mind, he's going to think if he has to come back to Denver, he's going to be thinking, oh, that's going to be a freaking long day. I know he won by 2 touchdowns, but he's going to get another beating if he comes here. He might win, but he's not going home without a beating. And the other one I was so upset that set the tone for this whole freaking day was that PJ Locke like penalty that they called when they didn't blow the whistle until like right before he hits him early on in the game that led to a touchdown drive for them. Like, that I was incensed that they were like,
which one again? Which one were you saying? I'm sorry.
So it was 3rd down. We were blitzing. They had like a penalty. They blew the whistle dead right before, like, they snapped the football. PJ's blitzing off the corner, and they blow the whistle dead as PJ's jumping into Trevor Lawrence's back. And they said, oh, no, we blew the whistle. Like, you couldn't hear anything. And then they showed the replay and with the sound, and you couldn't hear a whistle at all. And they had the 5-yard penalty, but since we had a roughing penalty or unnecessary roughness penalty, they got the drive, and they kept on, and they ended up scoring a touchdown.
Bro, and you could tell nobody even heard it. Like, Zach Allen picked up the ball, was running to the end zone like he was about to score. That was it's just frustrating, you know, because like when you look at it, it's technically the rule.
I mean, what do you want us to do?
Exactly. So if you're the ref, are you going to be like, oh, well, it's not a penalty because they couldn't hear?
Yeah, that's what you should have said.
What I'm really annoyed by, and this is something that the NFL needs to look into just in general. Like, I don't care if there's 2 offsetting penalties and one's 15 yards and one's 5. It should just be redo down.
Yeah.
Especially in a situation like that, because you're like, dude, really? Now instead of 3rd and 15 or 3rd and 10, if they're actually offsetting, automatic first down. It's a completely, it's an insane rule. And also, Kodiak and David, I sent you guys the link if you guys want to hop on. I thought maybe you guys had post games, so I sent you guys a link if you guys want to join.
And I guarantee you, Trevor Lawrence didn't hear it, because you know what happens when like they snap it and all of a sudden there's a procedural penalty and they blow the whistle dead. The first thing a quarterback does is throw the ball down. So like nobody hits me. They know like this play's dead. He didn't, because he couldn't hear it either. Nobody could hear it. I mean, like, talk about gifting another team because you didn't blow the whistle. I mean, when they replayed it, it was at the very last second. Like, there's no way PJ Locke could have like held up off that. No way.
No.
It's like, what are we doing? That just set the tone for the entire day, because I was like, oh, when we'll make a play and it doesn't matter because they'll wipe it away and gift it to them, and that's going to be the end of it. I'm just so sick of like having to play 2 teams. Why can't we just be a straight up football game? That's fine. If we lose, it's fine. It's just like overcoming stupid crap like that. It was just so I don't know what I mean. At a certain point, you almost get defeated if you're a player because you're like, well, it doesn't matter what I do because they're going to take it away.
Mm-hmm. And I guess I'm just seeing this. I didn't know. I guess Dre Greenlaw got injured on the one of the last possessions of the defense too.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that either. Gosh, dang
Mm-hmm.
it. It's unbelievable.
Yep. I was thinking about it, dude. Like when we had the fumble, we're down 14. We had that stupid fumbled exchange, which was so frustrating because I was actually really feeling. I was like, all right, like we'll get back into this maybe. You know, this defense, the Broncos have kind of done this a lot this year. We get the fumble. I'm thinking to myself, if they score a touchdown and they're up 21, I want everybody benched. We got a short week. Bring in the backups. You don't have any injuries. We end up holding them to 3. And even at that point, I'm like, man, maybe we, should consider benching the guys. We had the explosive play. It's like, oh my God, all right, maybe we got to score a touchdown. Mm-hmm. Anyways, like it was crazy that we even legitimately had a shot in this game. The Bo Nix interception was just a terrible decision. A terrible
fourth
play
down.
call
You have
as
to
well.
throw it. You have to throw it on 4th.
But I mean, it's also a terrible play call because why are you throwing it deep? Like why are you throwing it deep? Back shoulder, inaccurate pass. You had RJ Harvey wide open on the check down. But regardless, like that was where it was like, all right, nails in the coffin. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, like to lose 2 really important players. And we don't even know what the injury to Justin Sternat is. We don't know if it's a multiple week thing. It's scary at this time of the year, man. It's scary. It really is.
Yeah.
But again, I felt like, there's another one. David has the call, the body weight call. Terrible.
Yeah. Oh, it's insane.
Right? And even Tom Pelissero put it up on there. He's like, we see this so often in the NFL. It's rare that you see it actually get called. Well, same shit with leverage. Yeah, same shit with leverage. They only call it on us. Like, dude, give me a break. And then the Jade Barron call was terrible as well. And a lot of it is like, it's like I don't like to be the guy that always blames refs. Like I really hate the refs after the leverage. I was like, I'm going after them and I'm blaming them for us losing. 100%. And again, I don't blame the refs for us losing, but it's demoralizing and it's frustrating because it always seems to happen at the most crucial times.
Of course.
3rd down and long, in the red zone, like all year, dude.
Yeah.
And again, we've been able to overcome it a lot, right? We weren't today, but again, it's like, why do we have to overcome that every single time? It's
exactly.
Crazy. And it's a league-wide thing, man. There's a lot of like, I don't know if you just saw the end of the Steelers and the Lions game, but like, come on, dudes. How either be consistent or be inconsistent. That's the problem with what I have with the NFL refereeing is like, if you see a ref and they're constantly calling something, they're like, I'm going to call DPI really sticky today. Fine. Yeah. Do it all game.
Yep.
Then
you know
don't
where
just
the
like
limits
pick
are.
and choose when you want to do it,
Exactly.
Or holding. Like holding happens at every single play. Well, dude, Nick Bonito's he's literally on the ground. You think he just slipped?
Tackling
like it's crazy, man. It's always seems like we have to be really, really diligent with the way we play, and other teams don't. And maybe it has something to do with like the defense taking a little bit of a step back because they're thinking a lot more now. I don't know, right? I don't have like evidence to point to that. But eventually you get to the point where like you get scared of everything that you do. It's one thing I've actually really appreciated about Riley Moss is it's like he just keeps on fighting through it. And people, I was waiting. There was a couple like Broncos overrated, which honestly, dude, please, for the love of God, put us back on the overrated and the frauds list.
Definitely.
Because I sent a tweet to a group chat with my friends. I should have sent. I don't think I sent it in Discord. I should have. I literally, Ian Rappaport was like, overcoming nearly $130 million in debt salary over the last 2 years. Sean Payton has led the Broncos to the playoffs in a second consecutive season. And then they talked about like a head west mantra because we had a mantra of like head west to finish the season in Santa Clara, and it was like all the big. Adam Schefter was talking about the Broncos, and I literally sent it. I said, way too much national media love all of a sudden. Broncos are going to lose today. And I was dead serious when I said that.
Yeah.
And again, maybe it's superstitions, but I don't like it when like we're just getting too hyped up. That's why sometimes the loss is needed because maybe we're going to be back on Broncos are frauds and Broncos are underdogs and blah, blah, blah. And I'm good with that because we play a lot better. Play a lot better.
If there wasn't the injury part of this, I would be okay with this for the most part. It sucks. It's frustrating, but like I would be okay with it. But
No.
the injury part is where you're like, I don't know how this is going to affect the mentality and like the spirit of the team if it's major stuff.
I think that we'll rally. Like we'll find a way to rally. You just hope that they're not serious injuries, man. Because when you have injuries, just to good players like that, and the way that a game ends is deflating. Like I even felt like Jacksonville was really kind of shook up by it. Like I know Trevor Lawrence was. I give kudos to him. I don't know why people don't like him. I've always liked Trevor Lawrence, but like he seemed genuinely like concerned, and it almost seemed like even for their celebration, they were a lot more like.
Well, they better have been.
And my bad, Kodiak. I didn't even give you time to like get ready for us in the
No,
so
I don't care.
Kodiak is joining us though.
I'm happy to be here.
Well, let us know, man. Your thoughts, man. What's your therapy session with us today?
Honestly, just there's a lot of things you could say about this game, but I could just boil it up to just not our day. That's literally all I could say. There were a lot of issues with the execution on both sides of the ball. Bad drops, missed tackles, which I think are going to be the huge talking points about this game. And ultimately, you just can't have the kind of day you had against the really strong AFC team. Yeah. And overall, I mean, Mark, you said it on Horsepower Hour a couple weeks ago. Maybe this team needed to lose a game. Well, now we get to see how this team responds. And I feel like over the past 2 years, whenever they've needed to respond, they've done such an amazing job of responding. So that's the silver lining within this game. Mm-hmm. Now, the downside, obviously, there was a lot that we could learn. But Sean Payton says, there's a lot that we can clean up. And you know what? I believe him. I believe that we will get that cleaned up. And I trust him wholeheartedly.
Yeah, there's nothing more sobering than just an ass kicking,
It looks like it's a hamstring injury for Dre Greenlaw.
Great. Yeah, those are always 1 week.
Yeah, exactly. So Pat Bryant's
be like 2 to 3 weeks. If it's
as long as he's healthy a mild for the playoffs.
That's the problem with Dre is because he had that quad before. It's almost like, God, that's like the worst kind of injury he could have had. To be honest,
it's always like
it was a quad.
Yeah, it's always like you're favoring one thing, so something else gets pulled or something else gets hurt because you're kind of trying to not do something. Like not the worst thing about like the best way to get hurt is to try not to get hurt. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So Kodiak, I'm curious. I know you're a little bit critical of Vance, and I think it's understandable because one thing I will say is that's 2 years in a row now where the defense, Vance Joseph's defense particularly, played their worst football at the end of the year or closer to the end. So talk to me about like just your overall mindset on it.
So the reason I'm critical of Vance is because this defense has a tell. Like over the past few weeks, I feel like it really started in the Washington game where Zach Ertz, 37-year-old, 38-year-old, I think he's actually 35, but I'm exaggerating. Year-old Zach Ertz just completely tore us up. And I said it, whenever running backs or tight ends go in motion against this team, like, I don't know, it looks like they are completely clueless. And I feel like the communication is just completely broken down. I can live with a guy getting beat one-on-one, but, the amount of times where it just felt like we had no answers to their adjustments or whatever. I felt like Jacksonville did a phenomenal job adjusting today. Liam Cohen is a great coach, and the Jaguars are a great team. They're in the AFC. They are here to stay, man. Like, that's what today proved to me. And today was a huge statement win. And today was a signature win for Liam Cohen, honestly. But the reason I've been critical of Vance Joseph is because, all right, last year, at least you had the excuse of, okay, we had limited capital. We had limited cap space. So what did we do? We went out and got a bunch of budget free agents. We got Barton. We had Sternad last year when he wasn't very good. PJ Locke in the middle of the field. Like, those guys were starters on the defensive side of the ball. And, they weren't very good at the end of the year. Those guys were really, really trash actually in December. They played their worst football in December, January. But this year, you don't have that luxury anymore. Okay, you went out, you signed Dre Greenlaw, you kept Alex Singleton. And yeah, obviously you had PJ Locke today, and I didn't think he, played all that well. But those issues go far beyond just your personnel. I feel like, they're just collapsing in a certain area. I don't know if it's communication. I don't know if they just have a harder time communicating with like bunch checks with their run fits or whatever. But yeah, again, I feel like Benito and Cooper, I felt like they were on milk cards today too. And that's something that I feel like I've been saying a lot this season. So yeah.
You're right. That was weird. I felt like Q Robinson and Jonah Ellis were the ones balling from the edge.
Yeah, Ellis.
They were the ones that were kind of winning.
Ellis making that play while he's like engaged with a one-on-one blocker to extend and get ETN.
Yep.
Wow, huge play.
Sick.
Impressive play. Q Robinson in the red zone, not being fooled by the handoff or the option or whatever they did. I can't remember the exact play, but getting Trevor Lawrence. But yeah, and a lot of people, they were talking about like non-calls during the game. Like, fine, you could talk about non-calls or whatever, but at the end of the day, Nick Bonito was going up against the backup tackle. Okay, you're getting paid $25 million a year. You got to make a game-changing play, man. And hopefully this just gets better down the stretch. But once again, I felt like last year, this was something that people were critical of him. Now he's gotten way better in money downs this year. Like, whatever we have needed him to make a play, he has. So once again, I'll accept a bad day from anyone. I'll accept a bad day from Moss's tackling. I'll accept a bad day from Cooper. I'll accept a bad day from Benito. But overall, that's why I'm I'm thinking, where does this all start? And I think it starts with the coaching. And yeah, a lot of it does fall on Sean Payton because you need to be able to coach your coaches. But as you said, Mark, man, that's 2 years in a row now where you're going into the playoffs with a defense that's just absolutely bleeding yards when the identity of your team is defense. Okay. And it happens to a good Jacksonville team, whatever. But it happened. It happened against Washington, and it happened in the first quarter against the Raiders too. So that's something we got to really be concerned about.
Well, it's crazy because like the offense, man, in those games, like anytime I felt like the offense, obviously not necessarily today, but a lot of the times, anytime the offense has needed big drives or they needed to kind of carry their weight and get us back into the ball game, even in the losses earlier in the year, they did it, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, in all the comeback wins, they did it. Last week when Green Bay came, I thought that was huge. And even today, man, like, I think Jacksonville starts with the ball. Did they score on their first drive?
No, they went 3 and out.
No, they went 3 and out, right? And then I think, and then they punted the ball like on inside the 5, and then we went 3 and out. But then we give up a lead, we go down, we come back, we score, we take the lead, we go back down again, we come back again, we take the lead. So it's like the offense kept responding. We come out of half, huge drive, amazing RJ Harvey run. We get the ball game tied, so it was like we were doing it, and Vance Joseph's done a really good job this year of like making adjustments. He did a great job last year in Green Bay, and he did adjust today. It was just really late. I felt like it was like way later in the ball game. But I'll give VJ his credit there. Like he typically kind of reads what the offense is doing and can typically adjust. But today it seemed like the answers that he had were just way too late. It kind of came, end of the third when we started getting actual, stops. But we had those moments. I'm still concerned with the lack of the turnovers, man. That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big one there. So
the biggest thing for me is we have exactly one half of this defense playing good football in the past 4 games since the bye. Against Green Bay in the second half last week, I thought they were fantastic. But other than that, Raiders game, they played well, I thought. But once again, I didn't think they were as stingy as they would have been probably earlier in the year. We played that same team literally a month earlier, and the defense was all over them, And overall, it is concerning to see this defense regress. And once again, I just go back to the fact that since we've had largely the same personnel, or actually going into the bye, we actually didn't have Surtain for those games against the Raiders and Chiefs. And it felt like we were really punching teams on the face when they were on offense and we were on defense. But overall, yeah, that's just where I go with that. Is I think it just starts with the coaching because once again, I mean, I know you lost Brandon Jones, but given what happened in the second half of last week, I was willing to give PJ Lockett another chance, but it was just it wasn't very good today. But you have no other option until March or April where you can actually do something. But yeah, overall, I know this was kind of a long-winded discussion, but those are my thoughts about why I give so much blame to the coaching staff and Vance in particular, because it's not just a one-off thing. It's 2 years in a row now where this has happened.
Yeah, well, it seems like the pass rush is like how this defense is going to go. If we have if we're in their face quickly, which I mean makes sense, obviously, but like this last month, the pass rush has like either they're just like, hey, we're just going to hold them every single time and see if they call them, or not. But like you got to make an adjustment. I don't know. Something else got to change because they're just grabbing, and I could tell like Cooper was even getting frustrated. He missed. They were smart to like run Trevor Lawrence on a couple of those like gives where he kept it and went, and Cooper just completely crashed both times. And it was like, you're not playing disciplined. You're not playing your position. They're so like frustrated that they're not getting to the quarterback that they're now being undisciplined. And I mean, it's the silver lining is you're gonna have to like make those adjustments now. You've been exposed with stuff the way you're playing. You can't keep doing that. And I was gonna say about Pat Bryant, when he first got hit, he rolled over and he was like going like this and stuff. So it wasn't one of those ones where he's like out on the thing and like his hands are all, doing that kind of stuff. So I was optimistic that it was like not something super.
I was worried about his
major.
neck because it didn't look like he hit his head very hard. It looked like his neck just kind of snapped back, which obviously can still give you a concussion. But yeah, that's from Mike Kliss. So good news there. If it's just a concussion, then obviously those things can still be tricky. But you'd at least expect to have him back by at least week 18, which would be really, really good news. But that's encouraging. So that's good.
Yeah, you could tell it was his neck because the way they strapped him to the board. Like they wouldn't do that if it was anything else. But usually what happens is the guy will be waving like, I'm good. It's just precautionary or whatever. So that was the only thing where I was like, oh God. But concussions are not good, but we have three, hopefully 4 weeks before we start the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
hopefully, yep. I think too, man, like when it goes back to Vance Joseph, and they talked about it a lot this week. The thing about his defense, like he always talks about, is be good on third downs and be good in the red zone. He doesn't care about giving yards. Like that's why I don't understand why like yards per game is how you measure the top defenses. It drives me crazy. It should obviously be points per game. But the most important stats, I think it was Andrew Mason that was talking about it on one of his shows, is red zone and third down, and like that's how you measure it. And if you look at the defenses that are the best on red zone, they're all playoff teams, all of them. And that's where we make our money. And so when you have a game like today where you just weren't good at all in the red zone, they went, I think 4 or 5 it ended up being. It's not good. It's not good. But like it's the reason we won the game. Like everyone was like, oh, the defense didn't look that good against the Packers last week. I thought, and I'm not saying you guys said that, I thought they were phenomenal. Because when you shut teams down in the red zone, it makes everything way easier. And they talked about like 5 red zone trips, 5 field goals is 15 points. That's nothing. But, you give up 3 touchdowns or 4, then you have the result of what happened today. So hopefully we can get that fixed up. I'd like to see, like, I know this sounds crazy, but I'd like to see like JL Skinner or Devin Key in the red zone packages instead of PJ Locke maybe. I don't know if maybe the size, the physicality could help, but yeah, I think we're going to learn a lot about this team, man. We're going to learn. You learn a lot more about teams when they lose than when they win. So you're going to learn a lot about this team at the most critical time of the year. So it's going to be exciting. And hopefully Christmas days. How you guys feeling about the Christmas Day game?
Now I'm like, it's going to be stressful. but the way that Travis Kelce was like, we're going to play our butts off and we're going to give it everything for the last part, no matter what. And then they get stomped by the Titans. You're like, are they going to do that? So I don't know. It seems seems like they're phoning it in. I don't know.
There is no reason in hell you should lose to the Chiefs with a third string quarterback. And I think Rashee Rice is not going to play.
Shouldn't happen.
God, no. So
just real quick, TJ Ward, just so it's not me complaining because who am I about the refs, but here's TJ Ward. His tweet was, boy, these penalties and non-calls on the Jaguars are ridiculous. Obvious delay of game, no call, hand fighting in the red zone, holding on the Broncos, story of the entire season with these stripes, and no accountability held by the league for them. Shameful. That's exactly right.
It's true. And that's the thing. I feel like we've kind of as a fan base or as a society, or I guess fans in general, not just Broncos, is like, blaming the refs is like an easy cop out. Because a lot of the times you're like, well, you could have won if you executed better here. And it's like, yes, there's a lot of truth to that, but there's also, you still have to take into account how critical some calls are at certain times of the game, right?
Yeah.
A bad call on 1st and 10 is very different than a bad call on 3rd and 5, right? Yeah. For, as an example. And that's kind of where I always, and we talked about it before, like that's always been my biggest annoyance is like, sometimes we will commit a penalty on a less meaningful down and they won't call it. And then they'll call it later on a much more important down with something that was like way less egregious. And you're like, well, where the hell was that before?
Or just call it both ways the same. I'm fine with you calling stuff like, oh, if you want to be, but it always goes one way. That's the part that's like so frustrating because it's like, well, how do okay, you're saying we can't hand fight whatsoever at all, ever. But then you see them and they're like this on Cortland and he's still catching it. And it's like, oh,
Yeah, exactly.
nothing there.
That
It's
was-
like,
yeah,
what the hell is
totally.
that? So I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. But unfortunately, we're just going to have the mindset of like, we're not going to get calls. Don't do anything that could even allow them to call something on you. Like, don't do something that almost never gets called, but they still, by the letter of the law, can call it. You can't even do that anymore. You just got to be cleaner than clean. And then that's it. Unfortunately, that's crazy.
Yep. Kodiak, any other thoughts, man?
I will say I am a little disappointed in Bo after today's game too. Not because I thought he played well throughout the game, and like I'm not putting this loss on him or anything like that. But the reality of the situation is, with him being so good in fourth quarters this year, he had 2 chances to get us back at the game in the fourth quarter, and he did not. That's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
Okay, and I could live with the stepping out of bounds on 3rd and 2 or whatever to make it 4th and 9. The reason I could live with that is because at that point we were desperate and the game was pretty much put away. But the one thing I could not live with was deciding that he wanted to go to Pat Bryant before the ball was snapped, because had he, just kept his eyes wide open, worked through his reads, he has Bidet in the middle of the field, or he takes off. Easy first down. Easy new set of downs. Instead, you throw a pick, which basically puts the dagger in the game. So I do, once again, I'm not concerned about Bo. I think he has a larger track record of being absolute money, being absolutely clutch in those situations than not. But yeah, once again, I'm not very happy with him after the game. Not to say that I thought he played bad overall throughout the game, but I'm not happy with how he was in the fourth quarter for sure.
The Pat Bryant force was like, that's one of those ones where it's just like, it should be open. I'm going to give my guy a chance and he can catch it and get out of bounds. If he runs or they throw something dump off in the middle, you're so up against the clock at that point. I was so annoyed at the other play calls where they were just checking stuff down for 3 yards to Evan Ingram. It's like, that's going to hurt us worse than picking up 3 yards. That's pointless. So that's why I think, maybe that wasn't his thinking. Maybe he just locked in and just whatever, but it was like, you couldn't do that in that situation. You needed strikes and they knew that and they were playing off. Like credit Jacksonville. They played a smart football game about like not letting us get back in it.
Yeah. I'm with Kodiak on the Pat Bryant throw. Like, I don't like, you can't make a decision pre-snap that you're going to go there. And not just that, like, not only was he not open at all, it was poorly thrown. Like, if it was thrown actually back shoulder, it's just incomplete. Which I guess at that point a pick is better because you're getting a little bit less yards and basically the game's over. I mean, you have to convert it. But the things that have made Bo play so well over the last month to 6 weeks has been his ability to like go through the progressions and take what the defense is giving him, like take those check downs, stay in rhythm, don't just rely on the deep ball to be open. If it's not open, throw it away, and then all of a sudden you're going 3 and out so many times. So yeah, it was you kind of saw some of those habits creep a little bit. But again, if it's gonna happen, it's good that it happened in a non-winner go home scenario, because you can learn a lot from that instead of just being like, had we come back and had a miracle win again, it's like, holy shit, this team just like genuinely believes it's gonna happen every single time, and sometimes that can come back to really really bite you in the ass. So I think there's a lot to learn from that for sure.
Yeah. And I think if you kind of recap it, like the defense needed to get checked the way that they had been playing after the bye. Mission accomplished. They did. The wide receivers needed to get checked because they were hearing about how great they were after last week, making all these phenomenal catches. And they did play really well last week. But the drops that have happened all season long came back in. So you got checked. RJ Harvey, we needed to see him be able to make big plays and be like not just adequate, but like be a game changer and somebody who can actually make plays in crucial moments. That happened. He was huge today. And then Bo, he's hearing finally for the first time how like, oh, maybe Bo is the best in the draft the last time. Maybe he is the dude. Maybe he is this. Maybe he's that. Well, you just got that checked on you too. So like, and then, so to me, it's like, if you needed a sobering moment going into where we're about to go into, like that happened. Now we just have to pray that the injuries don't, linger into the playoffs and really struggle. But Pat Bryant, we played really well without Pat Bryant last week. Obviously, that was a humongous game. And haven't heard about Dre Greenlaw, so that's the good news about a loss like this. The way this works.
Yeah, and another thing I do want to say is I felt like, for all season, we had a huge lack of complementary football. Okay, offense finally gets it together. I felt like the defense played bad in some games, but today was really the ultimate like encapsulation of that because, the defense starts hot. The defense forces Jacksonville to 2 3 outs, or I think it was one, and then the offense can't get anything going, and then the offense. They finally get stuff going midway through the third quarter, and then the defense just can't get off the field. So, yeah, that was another thing that I think the three things that I do like I could summarize this game with is, defense just bleeding yards, whatever, offense being inopportune, but also the complementary football just wasn't there. Okay, last week you needed a turnover, you got it, as Mark said. This week you didn't. Instead of getting a turnover, Jacksonville just goes right down the field. Jacksonville takes it 75 yards. And they make it look easy in the process. So yeah,
on a crazy call for one of them, but yes, after that it was like Swiss cheese. The other thing I forgot too, special teams who had been playing really well, a lot better, they got checked too. Will Lutz misses a field goal that was ridiculous. Like that puts us up in the beginning of the game, gives us momentum. Now immediately they have the momentum, and then it felt like all of the return game today was like subpar as well. So. I don't know. I think it was good.
Thank God he had that 54-yarder to kind of make it up a little bit, but
he did.
Thankfully, it didn't actually come back and like really, really bite us in the ass. But it would have definitely been nice to be down 14 instead of 17 at one point. But
yeah,
I guess it is what it is.
But we could have went up 3-0 to start the game, and now it's just like, all right, defense got a little bit of wind at their back now, but no, it's 0-0, and they got the ball where they, at the 38 instead of who knows where it would have been, but. Everybody has to look at themselves a little bit today. So that's probably good.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, Kodiak, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, when Will Lutz went out there for that like 44-yard field goal in the first quarter, I was like, man, I don't know. I don't know. I just had a bad feeling about it. Like,
me too, dude. Me too.
The reason
I said the same exact thing as I have a bad feeling about this kick.
The reason I had a bad feeling about it was because I almost never see him kick from the right hash. Like, I don't know why, but I just can't remember any. I can't remember any. I can remember a lot of him kicking center and left hash. Not to say he doesn't kick right hash, but I don't remember it. Like, so it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. But I was just like, man, I don't know. It just doesn't look like it. And he's going into the sun too. And I was just like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it.
It was dead straight. That was the problem. It was like perfectly straight to where it literally just hits the post.
Yeah.
And it was off of like us not picking up that first down that we should have picked up. So it's like double whammy. Like, that's where you have to learn those lessons. You don't pick up something you should, leads to you now missing a kick that you shouldn't. So it's just like,
it happens. It happens, man. It's why sports are so fun. So Cody, I was going to say, you got that Riley Moss jersey in the back, right?
Oh, yeah.
So now the Broncos are now frauds again. They're trash. Mm-hmm. And Riley Moss is the worst player in the entire NFL. What are your thoughts about Riley after today's performance?
What are your thoughts about Riley? Like I said, I've even with the Riley Moss jersey in my background, like the Riley Moss jersey has been in my background since I moved my setup in April, May, or whatever. I can admit that this year has been quite a roller coaster ride, but once again, he's just a guy that I feel like he's done a better job of bouncing back whenever he does have those poor moments or poor plays over the past few weeks. Now, obviously the Parker Washington, 63-yard catch and run, that was absolutely embarrassing. I'm not really mad at Moss for that play, but I'm mad at Hufanga because if you can't make the tackle, at least force the guy back inside. But that's why I'm a little bit more mad at Hufanga. The second Parker Washington catch and run, okay, whatever. That was Riley's job, and Riley had one-on-one, and he just flat out lost it or whatever. And Parker Washington is not like a game changer. That's the thing that pisses me off about the Broncos. Whenever it feels like guys go off against us, it's besides T. Higgins last year, it's rarely the top stars of the other team. It's usually some no-name scrub, usually a tight end or running back. But I'm not.
I said that exact same thing in the pregame.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we do such a good job of a game planning against to take their big weapons and just look at it. I mean, we take their big weapons all the time. And I literally was like, I bet you Parker Washington is going to go off in this game. I said it's going to be Parker Washington or Brenton Strange. Ironically, they both scored. But it's
Parker
very
Washington
true.
Beat you.
And I think that's where teams are starting to realize they're like, hey, man, they're going to take our top two options. So it's going to have to be a random third dude that goes crazy.
Exactly. And once again, not to say Parker Washington's like a bottom feeder or anything like that, because we've been torn up by worse dudes, like flat
Mhm.
out. But once again, like, that's where on defense you have to step up. You have to just be like, all right, these guys are whatever for a reason. These guys are not the offensive focal point. So that's where you counterpunch. Okay. I felt like they did a nice job on ETN today. I felt like they did a nice job on BTJ. Even Jacoby Myers, I felt like he didn't really have all that throughout the game. But Parker Washington, man, not only the catch and runs, but I felt like there were a couple misses. Like T-Law had a couple really long misses where he had Parker Washington open and he just couldn't connect. So yeah, once again, I don't understand why when these big games happen for opposing skill players, it's usually some no name running back, tight end, or wide receiver. Once again, Parker Washington's not a no name, but once again, he hasn't really put his stamp on the NFL yet. And I'm willing to bet that today was a career long in yardage for him.
It's because what Mark said. It's because when you take away, you didn't game plan for Parker Washington. And like, why would you?
Or they probably just felt like Jaquan's got him,
Yeah.
but they use him a little bit differently.
And Jaquan like gave up that touchdown in the end zone too, and it was good coverage. That's one of those ones where you start to go, oh shoot, is this their day? Because that was really good coverage. And Riley did make a good PBU in the end zone on that one that really would have been a backbreaker that forced a field goal instead of a touchdown.
Mhm.
So they battled, obviously it's funny to be like, we've won 11 in the last 12 and we're pissed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it happened.
I'm gonna say a couple things that one's gonna be really controversial. The other one's gonna be maybe a little bit. In terms of Riley, I actually thought Riley had a lot more good plays than bad plays, a lot more. Yeah. And I got to go back and watch it, but I'm pretty sure there was some adjustment that was made, and I think it was Jaquan that like said something that whoever's calling the plays, they had made an adjustment where Riley ran inside, and somebody slipped wide open, and it looked like it was like Riley miscommunication. Don't know if that was on him. I thought Riley played super well today, man. Like, well, not super well, but I thought he did a lot more good than bad. Like 2 PBUs, the pass breakup in the end zone was big time. He was tackling his ass off early, really, really well. It's frustrating with Riley because like when it's bad, it looks really, really bad. You know what I mean? I think that's why he gets a lot of flack, but it's like you pointed it out, Kodiak. There's so many other guys that also didn't make the play either. It wasn't just on him. Like sometimes you got to have your guys back, but I wrote down on my little sheet earlier, I said Riley equals ballin', because I thought early in the game he was cooking. And then they kind of fell apart. The second controversial take I'm going to say is I think Parker Washington is a better version of Marvin Mims, and I love Marvin Mims. But I've watched a lot of Parker Washington this year. I have him in one of my leagues, but I just happen to like watch a lot of the Jags. The dude's a good player, man. He's really good in the return game. He's really, really solid overall. Like he's got 40 catches on the year for 500 yards, and I don't even think that's including today's game. So he's a really good player. But he definitely cooked us today, no doubt about it. But that's just one thing. Maybe I'll get cooked for that. But and I love Marvin Mims, but I think Parker Washington is nice.
Marvin Mims is like, if you can get him in space, that's his secret sauce. But like if you throw him a check down, he ain't taking it to the house. Like he's not going to break 3 tackles for whatever reason. You would think he'd be shiftier the way he returns kicks and stuff. But like he takes a check down and then he's like, where's the nearest guy? I'm going to run close to him and then get tackled. And it's like, okay, that's weird. But to piggyback on what you said about Riley early, the whole corner, like the whole defensive backfield early in this game was awesome. Like they were unbelievable, and we were getting pressure, and the way that we were getting to Trevor like was like, oh, this is exactly what he's not used to. He's getting hit constantly. He's under pressure. He has nowhere to throw the football. And I feel like the penalties is what like hurt our momentum. I honestly think we score on that first time, and then the one that we missed the field goal, and then you get another stop, and then you score again. Now, who knows? It's a blowout on the other way. It's just like, it's so close going back and forth, and then they figure out some stuff, and then it goes sideways on you. I mean, people constantly all year long, especially the national media, when anytime they want to knock the Broncos, they talk about how we lost got crushed by the Bills in the playoffs. That game should have been tied at halftime. God knows what could have happened. We miss a field goal at the end of that. Bo Nix drove us down. Going to be 10-10 at half. Miss that. They get the ball off the kickoff, score. We get like a close, but had go 3 and out. Another score. Now it's out of hand. It was that close though.
Oh, it was a much closer game than people probably remember it. So many drops on third down. Sutton had a terrible drop. Franklin had a bad drop.
Yep.
That were like they were wide open. Yeah, that game was a lot closer. But yeah, I mean, I think lots to unpack, lots to uncover. It's always difficult for me to do like the immediate post game lives because there's like so many things that I'm feeling. So
I know.
that's why it's nice to bring in a little bit of a calm voice and having, well, I guess a different voice. I want to say calm with Jeremy because he gets ramped up like me, but a calm voice like Kodiak. Because Kodiak's always the guy. He's the youngest of the group, but I feel like he's like the dad in terms of like he's just logical.
Yeah,
so good for you, Kodiak.
I do want to say a couple more things about like the just talking about Riley Moss. I felt like I'll accept a bad game from anyone. Like even our surest tacklers didn't have their best game today. I harped on Singleton a lot this offseason for not being a sure tackler a couple of years ago. I thought he was just going to flat out be cut or benched at certain points this year. He's been one of the surest tacklers on the team this year in looking at the big picture. And, he completely whiffed on ETN that allowed ETN to go like 15, 20 yards and get it into the red zone. Once again, Hufanga, he continues to be a little wishy-washy, since the bye. And I feel like, he's kind of the engine behind this defense. And I feel like, he hasn't been bad per se, but once again, a little bit, up and down, a little bit more up and down than we would like to see. Because during the bye week, we were talking about this guy being an all-pro. And, I feel like some of that magic has just been a little lost. And once again, he's a sure tackler sometimes. But over the past few weeks, or I would say he's been a sure tackler for a lot of the season. But the past 2 weeks, it feels like that's a sometimes thing. And Moss, once again, a sure tackler that just gets shaked out of his boots. But yeah, also, I will respond to you about the Parker Washington Marvin Mims thing. I'm not here to talk about the offseason, but I think one of the big things that I will look back on the season in January, we'll talk about this, or January, February. And, one of the big things that I am disappointed in this team in going into looking back at this year as a whole is I feel like I'm disappointed in Marvin Mims not taking that next step as a receiver. Okay. Now it's easy to get lost in the sauce through that as a year because I feel like a lot of people are going to be like, wait a minute, it's February. Marvin Mims didn't take that next step as like a real receiver that we thought he would. But I don't disagree with you thinking that Parker Washington's a better version of him because he's really good and he showed out today. So,
and I think too, knowing their speed, if we see them a second time, we won't play off as much. We won't be like, oh, we'll let them come to us. Because they were catching and doing that little catch and turn up the field. And we were coming in really hard and whiffing. And it happened over and over and over. That's something that they're going to know the second time if we play them.
Yeah.
So
in general, we need to be better. We need to and that's what was weird about it. I haven't seen the defensive players do that very often. They've always been really good tacklers. They've always done a good job of keeping things in front of them. Today it was like they almost like they were pressing in a way. But no, all really good points. Yeah. One more point I wanted to bring up, but maybe I'll save it for horsepower hour tomorrow because I don't want this going much more than the hour we've been going on. But any final thoughts, Jeremy? We'll start with you, man, in terms of maybe a message to Broncos country as a whole.
Just take a step back, realize we've won 11 of the last 12. We're 12-3. Anybody before the season, if you would be like, hey, you're going to be 12-3, would you take it? Of course we would take that. Of course. 100%. So as frustrating as it is today, and I'm telling this to myself because I was so angry today, but let's just take a minute. It sucks to lose the streak. It sucks to lose at home. It sucks to get get handled like that. But this takes the pressure off because all of those things accumulate over time. And now you start to feel like I can't do wrong. Maybe I am this good. Maybe this is this way. And maybe we can't lose at home. And maybe all of those things are now yes, you can. And you better get your stuff together right now. And if you're going to lose to a team, like I said earlier, that you might see in the playoffs, that's usually good. It's very, very difficult to beat a team twice, and they are going to be amped and ready if we do see them again. And Jacksonville, maybe they get all the hype now because they should. They're playing great, and they're scoring a lot of points. So give it to Jacksonville. Let us get our stuff straight, and then just take it one game at a time. But we still got. I mean, this has been an unbelievable season. We should be all happy about it. Even after today, we should be thrilled.
Kodiak?
Yeah, I echo a lot of what Jeremy says. Like, honestly, coming into this year, I was just hoping that they could push for the division. But the fact that they're, the division's still in their hands, it's absolutely fantastic. Even though the Chargers aren't letting up, I think this season has just been well beyond what anybody could have thought. And hey, it had been 3 calendar months since we last lost a football game. I literally didn't notice that until I was making my post game short or whatever. I looked up, I saw December 21st. I was like, wait a minute. 3 months ago, September 21st, that's when we lost to the Chargers. Okay. So it had been 3 calendar months. Okay. And you know what? This team has done an amazing job of bouncing back the past 2 seasons. So once again, you got to trust Sean. You got to trust Bo because honestly, you know what? The defense, I know that a lot of things have gone on since the bye week or whatever, but you know what? We still have the guys. I will take our chances at home in the playoffs against pretty much anybody in the AFC, especially with our defense. So, yeah, that's just all I got to say is that, you know what? Okay, today just wasn't our day. There were a lot of things we can point at: offense, defense, special teams. Sean Payton said it himself. We got to coach better. We got to be better. And I think they will be better. And I think we'll be better because of it heading into January.
I totally agree.
Very, very well said. Yep, I'm in full agreement with you guys. I think that we still control our own destiny. We're in a wonderful position, and I think today we just got beat by a really good Jaguars team at home. We had the worst defensive performance of the year. I think the offense was average, and ironically, at one point we actually still had a fairly legitimate chance to come back in and win. But I think we're in a really good place, man. I think losing like this is not a bad thing. And just go do yourselves a favor. Go look at the schedule for the last 3 or 4 Super Bowl champion teams. They all had a really tough loss or two at this point of the stretch. I'll point to last year, week 16, the Eagles played the Washington Commanders and lost it was a really good game. Real good game.
I remember that. They blew it against Jade Daniels.
Yeah, they blew it. They lost 36-33. And what did it do? It just got them back up and rolling on the train, and they ended up going all the way to winning the Super Bowl. So,
but guess who beat them in the playoffs? Guess who beat Washington?
They beat the hell out of Washington in the playoffs.
That's
exactly.
right.
And like I said, sometimes that's all that's needed is for you to kind of reset, regroup, and I think we're in a really good place, man. And anyone that wants to say we're frauds and all that, just embrace it. Embrace it as much as you can. So it is what it is. It looks like the Patriots are off to a bad start too, so that's good news. They're getting their butts kicked.
I'm watching the Avs. What's happening?
I'll take it.
Yeah, we'll take it. All right, y'all. Well, I appreciate everybody rolling with me. I am starving, so I'm going to go get some grub.
Me too.
Gentlemen, hope you guys have a great night. Everyone in the chat, you guys have been dope. We had almost 100 people on the stream live, which is crazy.
That's
so
everyone.
Appreciate y'all doing that.
We do appreciate it.
Yeah, just try to enjoy your Sunday, and hopefully our Christmas day will be great in every way possible, including a Broncos dub. Y'all have a good one.
Horsepower Hour tomorrow.
Yes,
sir. 8 p.m.
Yes.
Catch us all there. Us 3 plus David. Don't forget. All right, y'all. Peace.
Peace.